Today we are going to review for our chapter 3 to chapter 4, and after the spring recess, we will have our exam 2. So some of the knowledges we reviewed today will be on our exam 2 there, so please be focused. So we have learned the object-oriented programming, and last week we have a deep understanding for the method, and now it's time for us to review of the OOP some concepts. For classes and objects, these are two main aspects of the object-oriented programming, and as I illustrated in the slides, you can see the differences for classes and objects. For classes, we have said that you can take it as a template, and you can use the template to create various instances, or we say that the objects. So for example, in the left side, suppose we have a template, we say that this is the class fruit. So we can use this fruit template to create several objects. The first one is apple, because apple is a certain kind of fruit. The other one is banana, and the other one is mango. So that is the difference between classes and objects. But what if I change the templates to car? So what objects can we have? So any volunteers?
A Tesla?
Yeah, Tesla. And what else? Or maybe Santana, right? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with cars, but Tesla is quite a certain kind of objects. Yeah. Okay, seems I missed the response, but it's fine. Okay, in the chat. Toyota. Yeah, Toyota is also another certain kind of objects. Great. So let me move to the next slide. So let's have some more specific things about the classes and objects. A class is a blueprint used to create objects that share common properties and behaviors. As what we have mentioned for the cars in the previous slides, for Toyota and Tesla, they share some common properties, like they can run, right? We can speed up, and they are all 4-week. They are some other functions that maybe 4 seats or maybe 2 seats there. Those are their shared common properties and the behaviors. And an object is an instance of a class. It represents a specific entity created from the class template. Since it is a specific entity, that means they may be different. For example, like for the Tesla, it may have some special properties or behaviors that the Toyota don't have. And from the other side, maybe the Toyota has something special that Tesla don't have. So that is the objects. A more concrete example is here that suppose we have a class named dog, right? And for the properties, we say, we mentioned it as attributes before. We can give the class dog, they have some properties like name. Each dog should have a name, and color. For the colors, maybe brown, maybe dark, maybe white. And for the eye colors, well, actually, maybe eye colors is not common in dogs, but it's fine, we keep it. And for dogs, we can have some other properties like height and length, because some are big dog and some are small dog. And for the method, we say methods are those behaviors belonging to the certain kind of classes. For example, the dog, we can get a name. Get name means that the dog should firstly have a property name. So when we invoke the get name method, we will know what is the dog's name. And also get color, that means we get the information from the dog's color. And also the same thing is the get eye color and get height. However, except for the getter and the setter method, we can have some extra method. For example, like come here. That means if this is a dog, the dog can have a specific behavior like coming here or go there, or maybe bark, or maybe some other behaviors that may be that belonging to a dog. So once we have these templates, we can create a specific concrete instances. The instances, we say that it is an object. For example, in the right-hand side, this is a green dog. We name it Tommy, and the color is green. Although in green dog in real world is not exist, but it's just for an example. So here we say that we give it the eye color to be brown. The height is 17 inch and the length is 35 inch. And since the object is created from the class, so it has the same method from the class, which is the get name, get color, eye color, or get height, and even the come here. Everything is the same with the class because the class is a template. And for this example, since we say that a class is a blueprint and it defines the data and the behavior for objects. So it groups related fields and methods in a single unit. I have presented some code demos, code snaps we used in our previous lectures. For example, this class student. So the class student acts as a template to create objects with shared structures. And we know that it doesn't occupy memory for fields until it is instantiation. That means when we are defining the class, we don't actually create a certain kind of instance. Only when we are doing something in the right-hand side, that is a new student, right? We knew something, that means we knew an object. Only when we write such a code, no, not write, is the program executes such line of code, and then the objects will be created. And we can, and the class can contain fields, methods, constructors, nested classes, and interfaces, which will be learned in your advanced Java programming in your next semester or maybe in your second year. So here, let's review. For the students, we group some fields, right, in the first beginning. The first field is ID. That means you should have some school IDs within affiliated with the institution. And there is a string, and we say that it's supposed to be a name, right? Every student should have a name. For the constructor, I have to repeat so that you may be recall. For the constructors, we always name the method constructor name is the same as the class name, student, like public student, int ID string n. That is the default, not default, that is the parameterized constructors we define by ourselves. And once we have these constructors, we can initialize the student by passing the real ID and the real name to the object. So in the right-hand side, we are writing a test-driven class main. Here we are trying to create a student here. We are trying to, first we declare student, and the variable name is S1, and we use the S1 to stands for the new objects we just created. So within this line, the new student, what parameters should we pass to them? For example, if I want to create a student, maybe you can using your own name or own ID. Any volunteers can complete this code, this line of code. Otherwise, I will call name. Here, what should we put there? All right, it's time that I name somebody. Is Aiden Greeny here? Okay. Aiden Greeny is here. Okay, he seems somebody is typing. You said that is the first name and last name. However, Aiden, please look at the class. In the class the class student here. Oh, sorry. For the fields, we only have ID and N, but you mentioned is the first name and the last name, right? I think both of these can go to the string N. In this case, you are still missing one parameter. So what is the missing one? As when we are creating objects, everything should match together. Or anybody can help, Aiden? Yeah, ID.
Yeah, the ID.
Yeah. Great. So that means when we are creating new objects, for the students, we should pass the ID here. Suppose Aiden's ID is 1, 2, 3. And then for the string N, we pass his name is Aiden, right? And Greeny. And once we're done with this code, an object is going to be created when the program executes this line. Great. So for the Java objects, we say that an object is created from the template. So it is an instances of a class, right? So we can, for the class, we created to access the data and the operations. And each object holds its own state. For example, the state we always say that is the value stored in the fields. That is the attributes. In the previous example, for the student's example, it's supposed to be the ID and the name. And apart from the ID and the name such attributes, we should have some behaviors that are actions defined through method. For example, we say the getter method or the setter method, which referring to like get the ID or set the ID, get name and the set name and some other method, right? Like for the dog, we can have the bark or eat method. And another thing is the identity. It distinguishes one object from another. Or you say that it is a certain kind of things like the name only belonging to the subjects, or maybe age, or maybe some combinatory attributes together. Both form the identity that distinguish you from the other, distinguish one object from another objects. So for example here, suppose we have a class that is dog, right? And we are trying to creating several objects. For the dog, like we are creating four dogs in this example, dog 1, dog 2, dog 3, dog 4. And all the instances are of a class that shares structures and behaviors while storing different state values. So we say that in the previous slide, the state values means the attributes. What is the breed of the dog? Or age or color? Although the breed, age, color, they may be different. Like for the age, maybe the dog 1 is 2 years old, the dog 2 is 4, the dog 3 is 5, the dog 4 is 10. Although the real number or real properties are different, but they are belonging to a certain kind of categories. We say the attributes. So in this case, they share the same age, the shared state, age. However, apart from the age, they also share some different attributes like breed, color. Although in real world, they have different breed and various colors, but they are belonging to a certain kind of categories. In this case, for those attributes, they are all the states shared with the 4 instances. And for the behaviors, they are also sharing some comments, although the concrete meaning is different. Like for example, for the bark, maybe some dog barks very hard, like wong wong wong, and some small dogs they may don't only bark like one and then enough. So the behaviors maybe they have different meanings. I mean different actions, or maybe to some constant, maybe has some maybe strong or maybe not so strong behavior, but they are all belonging to the bark behavior, right? A same action. And also another one is sleep. Maybe the dog one sleep for 2 hours, usually sleep for 2 hours a day. However, some other dogs maybe sleep 12 hours a day, but all the behaviors, they are all the belonging to sleep and also eat. For some dogs, they may prefer to eat the meat, and maybe some vegetarian dogs. We don't know, but just supposed to, there is vegetarian dogs. Although they eat different things, but the eat action itself is a shared common properties. So that is for the object instantiation. Okay, for this example, we are going to instantiate a dog. Here we declare a dog, right? We have a class dog, and the dog's name, for the dog objects, we give the instance variable name is Tuffy. And for the Tuffy, we knew a dog object. And here is the information for Tuffy. Now, Tuffy has the name Tuffy, and its breed is Palian, and it has the age 5, and the color for Tuffy is white. So in this case, if we are doing our coding, we have to new a dog with the information to initialize it. So anyone can help me to complete this code? There are 4 empty there. Yeah.
Would it be the name, breed, age, and color?
Actually, you are doing right, but here, since we are creating a concrete thing, right? For example, as you can see, referring to this line, we have a template.
So, like, just fill it in?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
so here we are, it's supposed to be, sorry?
Oh, no, I was just saying a name that, like, you could put in.
Yeah, you are right. You continue. You're still.
I just said Timmy for the name. For the name of the dog.
Yeah, for the name of dog, that is Toffee, right? So Toffee is supposed to be here. And the same thing. Yeah, Aiden is writing something in the chatbot. Toffee, Palladium 5 white. Yes, correct. So Toffee, Papillion 5 white. That is the 5. That is the 4 attributes. Yeah, sorry. We are going to use to create the object. However, I have to mention that when we are knowing an object, we have to looking at the templates for its data types. Here we have a string name, right? We have string breed. For the age, it is integer. For the color, it's string type. So if you are writing a code, please remember what you create, what you write should match the class. Let me change the color. Since Toffee is a name, it's a string, so we should using the double quote to apply it to the name. And the same thing is Papillion and the white, because Toffee, Papillion, and the string are both strings. So when we are writing this code, do not forget to using the double quote. Okay, great. So let's move on to the next one. This is the UML class design we have started in from the first beginning of the lectures. We are talking about the class. We have implemented in our lab 2 or lab 3. I cannot remember, but let's recall it. Here we have a class name that is an account. That means here, this is the class name. And in the second compartment, here we write something about the account's attributes, right? We say the attributes are the instance variables. For an account, we should have the account name and the balance so that we can check which account has left any money or maybe going to the negative. And for the third compartment, this is for the behaviors. That the account class should have. Usually we will have account structures. Here it is used to initialize the variable, instance variables, because we are passing something to the account class. For example, the name, the balance, if we have some other attributes, everything we can write in the parameter list. Apart from the constructor method, we can still have some behaviors. For example, we can deposit some money into the account. And we can have an action like get balance. So we can check how much money in the account. And also we can have some method to set the name or get the name. So in this case, we can change the name. Like, for example, maybe the name is George, right? Or John. We can change to Johnny something. If someday these people change her name. And that is a UML class. So we will have to review the coding for the classes and the objects. Here it is, this is the 3.13. It's a problem that we haven't done in our lab. Here first, let's create the UML class diagrams first. Okay, let's read the problems. It's asking us to create a class called employee that includes 3 instance variables. A first name is type is string. A last name is type is string. And a monthly salary is type now is double. So he also asked us to provide a constructor that initializes the 3 instances variables. And we should provide a set and a get method for each instance variables also. And there are some other requirements, like if the monthly salary is not positive, we do not set its value. And we should write a test application named employee test that demonstrates the class employee's capabilities. And we should also create 2 employee objects and display each object's yearly salary. Then give each employee a 10% raise and display each employee's yearly salary again. So let's solve this problem starting from drawing the UML diagrams first. And I will do the first one. I will draw the top compartment. That is, employee. Okay, you can refer to here. It's an example. And then I have finished the top compartment. So I will pick one student to help me to finish the middle compartment. Let me check the name list. It's Janice, her dorm here. Janice. Okay, let me see. Okay, she's not listening, although she is online. Okay, I will move to another one. How about Richard?
They said they're here in chat.
Okay. Richard, can you help me? For this problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it asked us to write something. Now I have write the top compartment there. And what you have to do is find out the 3 attributes we should include it in our UML class. So what are the 3 attributes should be listed here?
We have the first name and the last name and then the monthly salary.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now, Brian, you are doing great. So give me some time to write for it. We have our first name. And it's supposed to be a string, right? Because everything actually is listed in the problem statement. We don't need to design by ourselves. Actually, what we have to do is only read the problem statement again and again. Okay, Janice is here. Okay, Janice, well, I will ask you to help me complete the bottom compartment. But let me first the second one. Okay, then we have the last name. My whiteboard is not working good. Okay, it's string. And we have salary, monthly salary, we say. It's supposed to be double. Because everything is listed here. You are finding a right place. Sorry. Okay, the second one we have done. Okay, for the bottom compartment. Okay, Janice, could you please tell me what should I include in the constructor? Okay, she is not online again. Okay, string. For the constructor. Okay, first let me know what is the name of the constructor. The name for the constructor. We say when we are coding for the constructor, we say that the constructor name is always be the same with our class, right? So the constructor's name is supposed to be okay, it's fine. Okay, since we have repeated a lot of times, but please remember the constructor name is the same name with the class name. So here we should include the employee here. Let me highlight it. So next time you will know. But don't worry, I will not deduct any credits from here. Sorry. The highlighter. This is not the highlighter. This is not the highlighter I'm wishing to have. Oh, this is one. Right. Done. So let me continue. Change your pen. For the constructor employee, we should include our all attributes there. So here we should have the string name, the first name. We say it's string. I will use the short one because it takes time to write it. And the last name is also string. And the monthly salary is double. And he said that we are supposing to provide a set and a get message for each instance variables. I know this is easy for everybody. So I will not pick up a person. I will write by myself. So that means class, right? Set first name. I will also only using the short one. And we should pass the name. We are going to initialize the objects to it. So we'll include the parameters there. That is the first name. And the type is string. Actually, if you are going to select a course like the software engineering or maybe some application course, in that course, most of the times you will require to write your own or maybe draw your own UML class diagrams by yourselves to design your project. So that's why I'm here to like starting from the UML class diagrams and then go to the codes. So you can have at least you will get more familiar with the workflow to design your own program. Okay, done. And for the set last name, it's the same thing. I will skip it. And for the set monthly salary, and we say the monthly salary. I don't know what happened. Okay, here it's supposed to be double because we have to match everything with our fields. I mean, let me change the color to highlight it. Here, we always have the name is string here, right? So here we should have string. However, for the monthly salary, it's double. That means we should pass a double integer to the monthly salary. Except for that, we still have to include the getter method. So for the get method, we say that is, since if we are going to get something from the program, that means we don't provide, right? However, we should have something back. So in the get first name method, we do not pass any parameters to it, but rather we are requiring something from it. The required things, the type is the same thing as the set function. So here we are get the first name. The program should return me a string here. That's why a string should be presented after the parentheses. And same thing for the get last name. We do not pass anything to the parameter. Rather, we are requiring a string from the program. And also something is for the get monthly salary. Here we are requiring a number from the program, and the number is double type. And that is almost done with the class design. So once we have designed the top, middle, and the bottom compartment, the next thing is that we should write our own code. So for those students who don't know how to code, then it's your time to open your IntelliJ and follow me. I will change to the IntelliJ to write this code. Let me change it. Okay. Here in your IntelliJ, when you are creating a program, please always starting from the new and the new Java class. As per the problem question, we should have, let me check with the name. We should have we should create a class that is named employee. So the class name is employee in our IntelliJ here. So once we have it and we have this file, we have the public class, right? And within the employee, we say we have three attributes, right? The first name, last name, and the monthly salary. Both of them are the attributes. So here we are going to define it, declare it. We can declare it as private string first name. Okay, I will write slowly. If you have your laptop with you, follow me. If you don't have, and that's fine, just watch me. And if I make any mistakes, please let me know. And we should declare the second attributes, which is still string, that is for the last name, right? And for the third attributes, it is a private one also, but we have to change it to double because it says that the monthly salary is supposing to be the double type. Okay, once we have these three attributes, we'll have to define our constructor. We say the constructor is used to initialize the instance variables we declared above, right? We declared above. So how can we declare the constructors? Please remember, always remember, the constructor is a method and its name is the same with the class. So here we should write public employee, right? Since only in this case, it has the same name with the class name. And then as we are going to initialize the instance variables, we should pass something to it. So the things we are going to pass is the three instance variables. The first is we should declare its type, that is string for the first name. Okay, I made some mistake, a typo. And the second one, the second parameters is also string, and it stands for the last name. And the third thing we are going to initialize is the monthly salary. That is a double type. Okay, once we have it, then we can write that we can pass the parameters to the instance variables. Actually, I don't like the default one. This in our constructors, this first name referring to the private string first name, and the first name in the parameters is something defined by ourselves. Since it is defined ourselves, I can change it. For example, the string name 1, so we can distinguish it from the instance variables, and also the last name. I give it 1 after the parameters name. So for this start last name, we assign our defined last name to it. And when doing with the monthly salary, according to our slides, let's go back. Let me change the view. It has a little bit strange requirement that, okay, if the monthly salary is not positive, do not set its value. So what does it mean? It means if I provide the salary, we should initialize the value. But if we don't provide the salary, we should leave it empty, right? So in this case, okay, let me highlight the requirement in case you cannot find it. Okay. It's according to this line. If the monthly salary is not positive, do not set its value. Also, it is not a straightforward word, but we should thinking in another way. That means if the salary is positive, we should provide its value. So it will be only in this way of thinking, it would be easier for us to write our code. Okay, let me change it to the IntelliJ. Let's see how should we write complete our constructor. So it says only if the monthly salary is not 0, we will set the monthly salary, right? So we use the if statement to make the decision. If the monthly salary is over 0, we set it. Otherwise, we don't do that. This dot monthly salary is equal to monthly salary 1. Okay, here in the constructors, the first name 1, last name 1, the monthly salary 1 is provided by us. The things we provided will going to instantiate a certain kind of employee object. And once we have done with the constructor, we are doing with our setter method. And getter method. For the setter methods, we have done a lot of times before. Let's recall. For the setter method, we are going to set something, so we should provide something to the program, right? But we do not request anything returned from the program. So in this case, the method is a void method. That means we do not request anything from it. Okay, my typo, sorry. And let's set the first name. This is a set method. Since for the setter method, we should provide. So we should write something in the parameters. It is the string first name. Okay. Also, we can using 1 also to make it different from the default instance variables. Here we have the set first name. We say we pass it, or we assign the first name 1 to the instance variables. This first name is equal to first name 1. Or you may say that, why do I have to have the set name? As I already have a constructor here, right? I have a constructor which already initialized the instance variables, but why do I need another set method? Anyone can tell me? Or maybe you can thinking some scenarios that why should I have such a method to set the first name? Because as it seems unnecessary, right? Okay, I'll call somebody. Let me find the name list. Okay, Pasta.
Yep.
So can you give me a scenario that why I have the constructor, but I still need to use the set method?
I'm not too sure.
Okay, I give you some hint. Suppose when you are born, your name is not Pasa. your name is something not so beautiful, like Pada. Sorry, I'm not intend to offend you. However, you are not satisfied with your name Pada, but you prefer Pasa. So in this case, you want to change your name, right?
Yeah.
So that means the constructor, the initialized configuration, you are not satisfied with. In this case, you can using the set first name to set your name from Pada to Pada, right? So that's why we should have some setter method. Okay, thank you for participating. I'm not intended to offend you, but it just give an example. I have changed my name also. I'm not quite satisfied with my previous name, and then I changed it to my current name. And let's say we still have to write our get method. Okay, let's complete all the set method. Public void set last name. String last name 1. But usually we don't change our last name. Usually we only change our first name. So, but since the problem statement require us to provide the setter for all the instance variables, so we have to do that, although it is not unnecessary. And also for the public, oh shit, public, for the monthly salary, it's also void. And for the setter method for the monthly salaries, we should provide a number to the program. The number is quite different from the name. So it's just the type of the number is supposed to be matched to the instances we declared in the line 2 to line 4 here. So we should pass the parameters accordingly. That is the double monthly salary. And once we have done that, we should assign the monthly salary to it. Okay, that is the setter method. For the getter method, it's a little bit different because we are requesting something from the program. That means we should define the specific things we are requesting. I mean the return type for the method. For the getter method, for the string, our name, let's see, public. For our first name, since for me, I'm Chufeng Jiang. My first name is Chufeng, and Chufeng is defined when I create the object of the employee as Chufeng Jiang. That means I should define the Chufeng as string. And when I requesting the program, oh, please provide the name, the first name for the employee Chufeng. So the program should return a string to the user, right? So in the getter method, we should firstly define the return type. And for the return type of the getter method, we say it is string because the Chufeng, the first name is string. So let's say get first name. Since we do not request anything, we can leave the parentheses empty here. So that's the difference. And then we return, what we have to do is return the first name that's done with the get method. And that is the same thing with public I will write pretty quickly now because it is the same thing repeated. For the string get last name, and we return our last name. However, when we are requesting for the monthly salary, it's no longer a string, right? So here we should public. Oh, sorry. So what kind of data types should I put here? Anyone suggest? Double or string for the get message of the monthly salary. Okay, let me. Yeah. I heard a voice double. Thank you. So that is get monthly salary. What we have to return is just to return the monthly salary. And okay, let me check what's the problem with it. Okay. It says a semicolon is required. Oh, here. Sorry, I forgot the parentheses. Now it's fine. It's done with the declaration. And the program is also asking us to write a application to test for it. So let me create another test-driven class. We name it. Okay, let me check. Oh, great. Aiden is answering through the chatbot. Thank you. And then let me continue. Let me create another Java class to test our method. This is the employee. Is this the correct name? Test. And this Java class name is requested by the problem statement, employee test. And once we have this test, let's create a main method, PSVM. And in the main method, let's declare and initialize our employee to test. Suppose we have an employee 1. We say that a class can be a data type, so we can using the employee directly. An employee 1, we can new an object, new employee here. So we say the first, and the code give us some hint. Here we should put the first name. We say the first name is Bob, right? So the second parameter we should input is the last name. That is Jones. And let's say the third parameters, the monthly salary is 2, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that is the first object we created. Okay, let me move it. So you can see the whole line of it. And we can doing the same thing to create another employee. Let me copy it. Just change here. Employee 2, we change the name to, let's say, Susan. And suppose her last name is Baker. And her monthly salary is, just suppose, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, a little bit higher than the first one. So let's try to display the employee's information, which is required by our problem. Display the information. We can sort out. We can print the information using the formatted print API, we change the sort print line into sort print F. So in this case, we can format our output. Okay, let's give a prompt. Employee 1, and we use the %s as a placeholder for the name, first name and last name. We say employee 1 dot get first name. Employee 1 dot get last name. So when executing, the things get from this method, referring to the employee 1 get first name, the program will assign this value to the first %s, and the get last name will assign to the second placeholder here. And I think we should also display their salary, right? Suppose we are going to display their yearly salary. So let me change a line. The yearly salary is we're using a percentage dot 2f. That means we are keeping the 2 digits after the whole number when we are doing calculation. And the f means that the things we are getting from the method supposed to be a floating point or double type number. So let me write the third method to get the salary. So we can use the employee 1. Oh, sorry. I missed a comma. Employee 1 dot get monthly salary. Since we are presenting the yearly salary, so we have to multiply by 12. And then I think that is done with the first employee. And so we can copy and paste for our second employee. So here, what we have to do is just need to change the variable name for the instance. Okay, let's run it. Let's see the output. It doesn't look good, right? So let me include a percentage, and that means we are going to change a line. So let's rerun it. Okay, fine. So here it's displayed the employees' information. For Bob Jones, his yearly salary is 148,000 something. And for Susan, its yearly salary is 200,000 something. So you may have a question that why here we are going to using the employee 1 dot get first name to get the things we require, rather than we like directly display the name Bob or Susan. Let's think in such a way that the employee is just a template, right? We are using a template to create specific instances, and we assign the Bob's, John's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to employee 1. However, what if someday the employee 1 is leaving? I mean, maybe resigned from this company, and we have these instances, but now the employee 1 is no longer Bob and John's. It might become the Chufeng, Jiang, and become my name. So in this case, I include a new employee while I still having the I keep the instance variable name to be the same. And in this case, I do no longer need to create a new person. And as you can see, Chufeng Jiang take place of the Bob here. So, and we still only keeping 2 employees in our systems rather than 3. That's why every time when we are creating something, we're using the template to create a specific instance variables rather than the concrete 出风价. Okay, fine. That is with our course here, our code here. And let's get back to the for loop. Oh, Jesus, thank you. The deputy chair is leaving now. Thank you for participating. I love you guys. I will give you good grades. Oh, thank you. Okay, let's just take it easy. I'm freaking nervous. You know, it's my first time to be observed.
It's really good.
Okay, and you can close your camera now. It's fine. Okay, let me continue to our course for the for loop. And the for loop is used when we know the number of iterations, right? We know how many times we want to repeat at a task. And here is the template to create the for loop clause. Here is the for keyword and the control variables. For the counter, we initialize it to be 1, and the loop continuation condition is the counter is smaller than 10. And each time we incrementing the control variables 1. That is the for loop. And here is the workflow for our for loop. That we start from the initialization, and then we check the condition. And the condition is the counter is smaller than 10, which referring to the loop continuation condition. And if the condition is true, we go to the for block, maybe a certain kind of collection of code there. And once we have done, we increment the counter. And then we go back to the condition checking. And once the condition is no longer valid, maybe the counter is over 10, and then we will end for the for loop. And for the for loop here, suppose we have such a suppose we have such a piece of code that class geek public static void main, the system print out something, print out I, and the I is supposed to smaller than 10. So how many stars will we have here? We can think from I is equal to 0 and until from the I to 10. That is not 10 stars. That is supposing to 11 stars because we are starting from I is equal to 0. 0 plus 1 to 10. That is 11. So the answer is supposing to be 11. And for the while loop here, we usually initialize something out of the while loop, and in the Boolean expression here, we check its validity. So for the workflow, we started directly go to the condition checking. If it is true, we will execute the statement, and the increment is optional. It is optional, because the loop continuation condition may be not related to the I, may be related to some other conditions. That's why increment is within the while block, and I say that it is optional. And if the condition checking is false, so the loop will be ended. That is the while loop. And let's have a look over this while loop code snap. Here, it initializes the I outside of the while block, and while I is smaller than 5, and we should output the I number there. And after that, the I should plus. So there raise questions that is important for the last one. What is the value I when the while loop stop? So we can thinking in such a way, when I is 0 and I is smaller than 5, we should output I, right? Here it's supposed to be 0. So what we'll have to output is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go to 5 until then the 5 is no longer satisfied with the I is smaller than 5. So the while loop is ended. But what is the value for I? I would say that the value I is still 5 because we have already incremented in the last line of the while block. And for the do while loop, it's a little bit different from the while loop because for the do while loops, you have to execute the statement at least one time. Than the while loop. For the while loop, I mean, if you initialize I is equal to 6, so you don't, from the very beginning, you do not necessarily to implement the code of to sort out the, to print out the I there, right? Because I smaller than 5 is not valid. That means if the I is initialized to 6, the whole while loop is skipped. However, when we are doing the do while loop, you still have to do the statement at least one time, no matter the condition is valid or not. And that is the difference. Okay, let's have a look over this example. Here, I initialize I is supposed to be 0, and then we do system out print line I, and then I jaja. Suppose I initialize the I is 6 there. Suppose we say it is 6. Okay, it's not red. I'll change the color. Suppose it is 6. Will we do this code? Of course, because it comes before the condition. The condition is after the statement here. So we will print the 6 and then going to while. And then we find, oh, while I is smaller than 5 is not valid. And then we will end the while loop. However, in the console, the 6 is already printed out. So there is only one number in the console in this scenario. And for the break statement, the break statement in Java is used to immediately terminate a loop or switch statement and transfer control to the statement following it. And it exists a loop before its condition becomes false. And it also terminates execution when a specific condition is met. And we use it. The break is used to exit a switch case or break out of a label or a label nested loops. Okay, it's a little bit boring about the series, but let's go to the code. Here we have something like a for loop starting from I and ending at 10. No, it's not 10 because it is smaller than 10. That means ending at 9. And the incremental is I++. However, within the for loop, we have something say that if I is equal to 5, we break. That means when we are iterating until I is equal to 5, we no longer need to continuing with the for loop. We will break out the for loop and go to the next line. That means, let me write. For example, when I is equal to 0, we will print out I is 0, right? For I is 1, we will print 1. For I is 2, we will print 2. I is 3, we print 3. I is 4, we print 4. However, when I is 5, we get there. If I is 5, we break. That means the whole for loop is no longer valid. And then we break it and we jump to the nearest line to the for loop. And here we don't have I is equal to 5. but while we have the out of loop here. That's it. For the continuing, it's a little bit different because it is used to skip the current iteration. It is to skip rather than break. Or we say stop. It is only skip this current iteration. So let's see the same example here. It says, if I is equal to 2, we continue. That means continue means we are going back. Here from this line of code, we go back here. Okay, I'm not drawing good. Let me change the color. Okay, from continue, we will going back here. Oh, sorry. Sorry here. Let me delete it. That means we will, to continue, we're going back from the first line of for loop. So in this case, when I is equal to 1, we print 1. When I is, for I is 0, we print 0. For I is 1, we print 1. However, for I is 2, we don't print anything. We go back. We go back and increment 2 to 3, and then we print 3. That means for the 2, we just skipped. And that is the continue. And for the switch statement, it's a certain kind of pattern matching because it's a multi-way decision statement that executes different blocks of code based on the value of an expression. And it supports data types such as byte, short, char, int, enum, string, and wrapper classes, and improves the code readabilities and the structure when handling multiple conditions. And in this example, we say that suppose we have a character C here. And then we are doing some pattern matching. Here to the C, this is the CH, this is the CH. Currently, this CH is referring to the character C. We have different cases, right? And then it matches to this case. So as long as it matched to some case, it will not fall into the default. So the program will output the URC in the console. That is the switch statement. What you have to know is that the switch statement is a certain kind of pattern matching. And then for the remaining of course, okay, there are only 15 minutes now. I will introduce the LeetCode now. Although, I mean, you are still young, maybe the first year or the second year, but if you are going to find a software developer job or something related, most of the times you are required to do the online assessment, doing some LeetCode problems. I suggest you to practice as early as possible. Oh, well, I have to share a sad information, a sad news that I failed on the Google interview, but it's fine. I will try next time. I'm thinking that maybe I'm not writing fluent or smooth code during the interview, but it's okay. I have to admit that I'm not reviewing and practice often. So I'm wishing that you may start the LeetCode problem earlier. When someday you got the invitation from Google, you can quickly solve the problems. Yeah, that's fine. I'm still looking for other jobs, but it's okay. So you may not familiar with LeetCode. Let me change change to another view. LeetCode, actually, as you can type the LeetCode, and you will find this website. Okay, let me not sign out. You can go to this web page and you can sign in or sign up. Let me sign in again. Okay. Oh, let me using my GitHub directly. Okay, I use my GitHub to log in. And in the LeetCode, there are a lot of problems for you to practice. 1,000, 2,000, I think it's 2,000 something. And there are some tabs you can practice, and but you have to pay for that. Usually I suggest only when you get the invitation, you may subscribe for the premium. Otherwise, what you need to do is only practice the normal questions. But when you are, let me check. Oh, sorry, you didn't. No, I didn't create any projects. I just showing the LeetCode here. So when you are doing practice, just following the tab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you may choosing the easy. Or once you have learned some data structures, you can click for the tabs and then practice the problems by yourselves. So I just give you an introduction of the LeetCode. And for today, we will practice the first question, two-sum. I think for you now, you are able to write your own code. And let me reset it. And it is almost the same interface. You will take online assessment when you are doing your interview, or maybe only the code signals. They will give you a structure like this, like a class solution, the public, the method name, parameters, the return types. What you have to do is to complete this class. Okay, let me read the problems for you. Here, the two-sum. It requires that given an array of integers, nums, and an integer target, return the indices of the two numbers such that they add up to target. You may assume that each input you would have exactly one solution, and you may not use the same element twice. That means, let's look at the examples. Here, it will give you the numbers like that, 2, 7, 11, 15, and the target is 9. What you have to find two of them, and they aggregate together is equal to 9. In this example, it's the 2 and 7, and the indexes for them is 0, 1. What you have to return is the 0, 1 rather than the 2, 7. As long as you have a clear understanding of the problems, and you can start it from coding to solving this problem. Don't worry, I will not include it in the exam. I just want to show you how to do the LeetCode problem, so that if you are in the future, if you are preparing for a software engineering job, you can practice by yourself, because usually in school we don't have such a LeetCode course. Everything is doing by yourself. So here, and we have the code blocks there, and you can change it to C++ or Python. I would suggest you that maybe learn one more programming languages, C++ or Python, because for Java code, to certain kind of problems like the graph problems, the Java code is pretty long. That will take you a lot of time to design the logic and debug it. But for Python and C++, the code to solve such kind of problems is more concise and compact. But since here we are a Java course, I will solve this problem using Java. So we know here what we have is, let me looking at the example. The problem gives me an array of numbers here, right? So I'll have to find out someone. The most commonly used solution is using the brute force that I tried one by one. The first number plus the second number, the first number plus the third number. So I can create a for loop to do that. For int I is equal to 0. Okay, this is our starting point. And I is smaller than nums dot length. This is an API we have mentioned in our previous lectures. The numbers dot length is taking the whole length of a certain kind of string, right? But here it is to count the array's length. That means if I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 4 numbers in an array. The number of length is 4. Or we can say that we can declare a new number. Length is equal to number of lengths. And we substitute it by length. And each time we increase I by 1. So that is the first one. Since we are doing two numbers, right? Initially, we fix the first number to be 2. And then we try the 7 to 15, one by one. That means we have to have another for loop to go through 7 to 11 and the 15. Oh, that means it is a nested for loop. So inside the for loop, we have to create another for loop. We are using the j to initialize our starting point. And the j is supposed to be, the starting point is supposed to be one place above the I. So here the starting point is I plus 1. And the j is also still need to smaller than the j, smaller than the length of the array. So here is length. And each time we increment, once we have done with the comparison, we increment the j. Okay, the outside for loop and the inside for loop is done. And the main logic is we try everything one by one to compare whether they are adding together. It's the same thing with the target. So here we can use the if statement, like if numbers I, that means numbers I is we are taking the index I in this array numbers. If the I is 0, we will take the number 0, which referring to the 2, plus the numbers I, j. Okay, if they are equal, we say that 2 equals symbol is to compare the real value, right? The target. If this is valid, that means we find our solutions. So here we'll have to return, like we knew an object is int. This is the return type we are going to use. So we are copying it to here, int. And we're using a curly brackets to include the 2 indexes. I know currently we do not touch with the array, but soon after the spring recess, we will learn the array list, something for that. So currently what you have to know is just have a notion of the for loop is enough. And outside of the for loop, we have to think that what if we don't have valid pairs, right? What should we return? So if this if statement is not valid, and that means we will have to fall back to a default condition. That means we'll have to return something like empty. Will it say that here? Okay, it doesn't say that what we'll have to return. But usually we'll have to return something. Just the return an empty thing is enough. Okay, that's done with this code. And let's submit it. Okay, there's a bug. I forgot the semicolon. Okay, let's see. Oh, great. I have solved it. That means as long as you can write such a code in your laptop in this code block and you submit it and you will get accepted. But I would say that the performance is not good. As you can see, I'm using almost 40. This method is used almost 40 milliseconds. However, there are somebody writes solutions only using 2 milliseconds, but they are using some other higher advanced data structures like map and cache and hash map. Currently, we are only using the nested for loops. That's why our code is not in a high quality, but it's fine. You're still young. What you have to do is just practice and keep learning. As long as you keep learning and practice more, you will be more familiar with the data structures and with the logics to solve the problems. And okay, that's for today. So I find somebody is coming back, but I don't know. And I will record the people who attend our course today. I guess I will have a follow-up meeting with Dr. Kui, the deputy chair. After the spring recess, I'm supposing everybody to be here, but only half of the class to be presented here. At that day, she might be a little bit, has some comments on the attendance, but it's okay. At least for those who are attending for today's course, I will explain for you and I will give you 5 extra credits towards your final. Hope you will get an A+. So that's all for today. Thank you for coming and see you after the spring recess.
Take care, Professor.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, no problem. Don't worry. You didn't miss anything. Yeah, this is recorded. Don't worry. I will upload it to the YouTube. Don't worry, even if you are coming late. But thanks for coming anyway. Okay, bye.